Chicago, 1931. Edward Masson's days ended with a sigh. At 17, he died of the Spanish flu, but woke up with fangs he didn't ask for, a thirst he didn't understand, and a gift he didn't want. Hearing everyone's thoughts. Carlisle Cullen was his savior. He offered him a family, a new life, a code. But Edward didn't accept. Not out of disdain, but because something in him knew he wouldn't fit into that kind of redemption. "Thank you," he said one night, while the city slept. "But if I'm going to carry this, I want to choose what for." And he left. Decades later, Edward Cullen was a ghost with golden eyes and a shattered soul. He didn't live with his kind. He didn't build roots. He only tracked filthy voices and sick thoughts. Rapists, killers, men who thought evil came without consequence. Edward hunted them, not out of hunger, but for justice. "If I'm going to be a monster," he would say in the foggy mirror of motel rooms, "then I'll be the monster the real hell fears." Forks, Washington, 2005. Edward didn't plan to stay, just another stop on his nomadic route, a town where no one made too much noise. Until one voice became silence. Bella Swan, the new girl, daughter of the police chief, introverted, smart, observant, and to Edward, completely mute. He couldn't hear her, and that drove him insane. He watched her at school, in the library, in the parking lot, from the shadows of the trees. And something in him started to shift. Not thirst, not guilt, curiosity. The girl without a mental voice became an oasis for his overloaded mind, and without meaning to, he began to follow her. One night, he saw her walking alone through Port Angeles. 3 men approached. Their thoughts were as dark as the moonless sky. And then, he snapped. No witnesses, just broken bodies in an alley. And Bella, frozen, staring at a golden-eyed stranger who dragged her into his car. "Are you okay?" "Who are you?" "Someone who shouldn't be here. And you shouldn't have crossed my path." But Bella didn't avoid him. Quite the opposite. Each day after, their paths crossed more. In the library, the cafeteria, the school parking lot, where he seemed to appear and disappear. "What are you? What if I told you I'm what fairy tales call a monster? I'd say I don't care, because if you were a monster, you wouldn't have saved me." Edward tried to stay away. He failed. He tried to scare her. He failed. He tried to vanish. He failed. Because something in Bella didn't just attract him. It calmed him, anchored him, listened, even when he didn't speak. One afternoon, Bella went into the forest. Edward followed. "Do you know what I am?" She nodded. "And you're still here. Because if you die protecting others, then you're not the monster you think you are." Edward looked at her in silence, and for the first time in nearly a century, he trembled. Not from fear, from hope. But they weren't alone. One of the bodies Edward had left in Chicago had a brother, a man turned by another clan, a newborn seeking revenge. And now he was in Forks, looking for the golden-eyed killer, and he had seen Bella, and realized something Edward hadn't said aloud. His weakness had a name, and brown hair, and a voice that made him want to be human again. Edward had a vision. Bella, bleeding in the forest, her name whispered in agony, and he knew he had crossed a line. Because she was no longer just his redemption. She was his reason. And like every lonely monster, he was about to find out if he could protect the only thing that had made him feel alive. Forks. 2 weeks later, Bella couldn't stop thinking about him. Edward appeared like a secret among the trees, like a melody no one else could hear. She knew he was dangerous. She knew he wasn't human. And yet, she had never felt safer than when he was near. He, for his part, was torn between 2 urges, his thirst and his soul. Bella made him weak and strong, all at once. He couldn't read her, he couldn't predict her, but he could feel her. And that terrified him. Because Edward Cullen had no home, no family, no laws, only his own code, punish evil, until Bella came along. And now, he didn't know if he could still tell what deserved to die from what deserved to be saved. That night, fog covered Forks like a gray sheet. Bella was coming home from work. Charlie was on duty. The alley between the bookstore and the parking lot looked empty, until it wasn't. A figure emerged, tall, red eyes, a crooked smile. "So you're the weakness," the newborn whispered. "Interesting choice for a monster with morals." Bella stepped back, her breathing quickened, but before she could scream, Edward heard it, from miles away, through the whisper of the hungry mind, through the threat, and he ran, faster than ever. He arrived just as the newborn was about to touch her, and he didn't speak, didn't hesitate. He struck, Again and again, the forest bore witness, the trees, confessionals, the night, ally and accomplice. Edward didn't stop hitting, not out of rage, but out of fear. Because for the first time, there was something in the world he couldn't lose. When it was over, Bella was still there, trembling, eyes wide. He fell to his knees, clothes torn, face stained, and he whispered, "I'm everything you feared, and still, you didn't walk away." Bella knelt beside him, because you are everything the world needs but doesn't understand. That night, Edward took her far away, to the mountains, where the fog didn't hurt. You could run, leave me, forget me. And you, Edward closed his eyes, I could kill you or become what saves you, but I can't be both. Then choose. Silence, and then a truth. I don't want to be just your savior. I want you to save me. They didn't go to the Cullens or the Volturi or anywhere rules would decide for them. They lived far away between borders, among abandoned motels and secondhand books. Bella studied, Edward hunted. But not just criminals anymore, also his own darkness. One day, Bella woke up with paler skin, sharper senses, a slower heartbeat, and she knew, without screams, without fear, that she had chosen to stay, and that he had let her choose. Sometimes in the mirror's reflection, Edward still doubted, but then he heard her laugh, read aloud, dream in whispers, and he understood that even monsters can love without destroying, and can be redeemed without permission. Because if there's no family to hold you, no law to stop you, no heaven to guide you, then you invent one, with the only person who never wanted to save you from yourself, but with you.